This section will discuss the two main reasons for your breakup, about why a breakup can be a good thing for you, and about how to use the breakup and the feelings you probably feel now to accelerate your growth. It may seem unlikely to you now, but you can use your breakup to your advantage. Breaking up a relationship after 5-10 years, or even after a few months is never a pleasant thing. And almost no one feels good in such a situation. That's because we don't like things to end. We don't want to lose something or people, but it's bound to happen to you at some point in your life. You may have a lot of such situations behind you. Maybe you are fresh from a breakup, or you will only experience all these feelings in the future. Either way, it will happen at some point. And it's always challenging. If you are now experiencing a breakup with someone important to you, you are probably overwhelmed by your emotions. You practically have no control over them. You feel terrible. You feel almost everything at once. You are angry and depressed. Maybe you feel despair, hopelessness, sadness, anger. You feel lost and surprised, especially when you are the person who was suddenly told by someone that this is the end of your relationship. And the only thing you're probably thinking about right now is to stop feeling so bad, control these mood swings, and feel good again. Get away from all those unpleasant emotions. You want the pain you're feeling to end, and you're willing to do a lot to make that happen. And two traps are waiting for you at this stage. Both have to do with these feelings and the fact that you are trying to eliminate them as soon as possible and at any cost. Such shortcuts are never good, not in this case either. The first trap. It's a desperate search for another new person immediately after a breakup. The second trap is desperately trying to win back a former partner. Why will neither of these options and 90% be a good solution for you in the long term? And what can such a solution do for you if you use the breakup well? Why is it better to avoid these traps? If you fall into either of these two traps, you will prevent yourself from using your breakup for yourself. You will refrain from using the time and strong emotions you are experiencing to accelerate your development. Therefore, before you decide to browse dating sites and pick random people only to find that the new person doesn't resemble the one you're after, and before you choose to send flowers and chocolates to your ex-partner, or buy new dumbbells for your ex-partner to win him over though and try to redeem his interest, listen to what I'm going to tell you until the end. If you quickly find another new person or return to the person who left you, you won't learn much about yourself from this breakup. You won't have the chance for the very rapid growth that can await you if you use this breakup well for yourself. Why exactly should this moment have such potential? We all know that moments like this, the most difficult moments, have the most significant potential to trigger the most remarkable changes and most powerfully affect our development. The feelings you are feeling right now can be used as fuel for significant changes in your life, and you can use them as an impetus for change. But nothing will change if you don't use them properly. An improper use in this case would be just giving in to these emotions, running away from them into the arms of either a former partner or a new partner. That is, making rash decisions based only on the emotions you feel now, at this moment. I know these emotions can be powerful, but I also know that you can deal with them differently than you feel right now. What is it like in the case of a breakup? Usually, we have two perspectives on such a situation. In this situation, I'm leaving out such a breakup when both agree and accept it. I mean the more unexpected situation, when one person tells the other that nothing will come of it further, and it's over. In such a situation, the first perspective is the point of view of the person who has said that he or she no longer wants to be in this relationship, and gets out of it, and escapes. The second perspective is that of the person with whom the first person is parting. And it is mostly the case that the person with whom someone is parting is emotionally worse off. It is more painful for that person than for the one who decided to part ways first. Although it doesn't have to be such an easy thing either. What makes these people different? Let's say you are the person with whom someone has parted ways. It was his or her decision. Why is it theoretically easier for this person? Because a lot is going on in the process of making this decision. This person probably thinks about it and considers it for a while. As a result, he mentally prepares himself for this separation. Such a person knows what will happen next, and has already partially dealt with the feelings yet to come for you, and the emotions in this person's situation are pretty stable. There are no big jumps here, although telling someone something like this is emotionally challenging for most people. What does it look like from someone who doesn't know anything yet? What does your perspective look like when you find out, and someone suddenly tells you unexpectedly that they no longer want to be in your relationship? You may feel like you've been hit by a speeding train and one you haven't seen. This can be surprising, especially when you don't expect it. You believe it will be fine, that everything will work out, and you don't see any signs of what's coming. In your case, these emotions don't grow slowly, they flood you all at once. You feel like a big dam of emotions has burst, and this big wave drowns you in a second. That's why you probably feel overwhelmed by what's happening and by what you're feeling. The emotions are so strong that you can't find a place for yourself, and you may try to stem these waves just by getting your partner back, or looking for another relationship right away. And this is all to neutralize what you feel now. And you feel terrible, and you feel lonely. You want the person who broke up with you to come back to you or let you come back. And that is the most important thing for you now. You want to feel good again, and that certainty and stability again. And that can lead to a little obsession with that person. Rejection triggers that little obsession, and there's often a lot of truth in that it happens. And it can make you want to get back what you lost at all costs. This obsession is driven by thoughts that idealize this person and your relationship. These are thoughts like, I will never find anyone again. I will never find anyone like that again. I will die alone. This person was made for me, and we should be together. Suddenly, this person becomes irreplaceable and promotes himself to the love of your life, even though you didn't even think of her that way before. Notice that these thoughts are mainly about you, and with such thoughts, in such emotions, you can do little wise things. For example, begging for this person to change his mind. You are asking her not to cross off your relationship so quickly, waiting outside her house for hours because of the emotions flooding you. You have zero control. This is a typical reaction. You try to regain what you lost and create this idealized image for yourself. But the truth is that it wasn't and isn't at all as perfect as you imagine it now. And somewhere deep inside you know this perfectly well, but these emotions don't let this realization sink in. In addition, a significant element of change in your life comes into play here. It's like with any change, you feel resistance because a big part of your life was about this person. And after the breakup, you know that this will change. Your life will look completely different, and you're used to having this person in your life, and you feel as if, with this person's departure, someone is tearing away a part of you. And this is not at all surprising. A little bit is indeed the case. That's because your life and this person's life were connected for a while, and there will be resistance to this change, and there will be a little obsession and strong emotions. This is normal. But how you deal with it determines how your situation will continue, not only in a week's time, but also in the future. I want to return to this, asking and begging for a moment more. One thing is worth saying about begging and asking in such a situation. Such behavior will not only lower your self-respect, especially since it was you that someone parted with, and you are now going after him and asking. Have some self-respect, that's first. Secondly, what you feel like doing now, just trying to get this person back in these emotions in such a way, is most often counterproductive. That's why random crying phone calls or scenes of jealousy when you see these people with someone else are unlikely to help you. Unless you mean to convince this person even more that the breakup was a great decision, because this whole circus proves that she was not wrong about you, and that her decision is correct. Although you think so, by such behavior, you do not show that you care very much. Instead, you are communicating your weakness and emotional dependence, and this will certainly not be a good strategy in this situation. You will certainly not increase or gain attraction in the eyes of your former partner by behaving this way. Only that you are so overwhelmed by your emotions that you may not see it. And until you see it, you may not be able to stop yourself from such behavior. And this is where self-control will be of great importance. Self-control in relationships is critical. If you don't have self-control and self-respect, you can't expect other people to respect you and take you seriously. How can this begging and asking end? With this beginning and asking too, we have two perspectives and two scenarios. Let's say you begged and pleaded for your partner to accept you back. You are together again. What happens when you beg for the continuation of that relationship and that person says, okay, let's try again, meaning you end up back in the relationship you cared so much about? What happens next? Mostly after a few weeks, that idealized image of that person you had after the breakup will unravel, and everything will return to how it was. There will always be problems that are always there, and after a few weeks you will realize that nothing has changed. You have not grown in any way, nor has your partner learned anything either. You continue to make the same mistakes, and that person continues to make the same mistakes. You have not developed in any way. And again, by entering this relationship, you have only brought yourself temporary relief and jumped into the same situation. And it slowly begins to occur to you that those earlier thoughts about the love of your life and how you fit together like hand and glove don't quite match reality. You see more clearly that what used to upset you in this person or this relationship is still there. This person gets angry over some little thing or isn't very supportive when you have tough challenges at work. Or he or she continues to avoid conversation when a problem arises and gets offended, for example, dealing with things immaturely. Everything stayed as it was because there was no chance to learn anything from the breakup. There was no time for that. You deprived yourself of the lesson that this breakup could have served you, which could have been the beginning of significant changes in your life. And now you are two people, the same people, entering the same relationship. It was a relationship that was never perfect and probably didn't get any better with time because you eventually split up, so it wasn't all that colorful. Some reason for this was there, and it only seemed to you immediately after the breakup that it was so fantastic, and the relationship didn't get better because maybe you didn't develop together. Maybe one side worked on itself, but the other didn't. And this is one of the most common reasons for breakups. You and your partner didn't stimulate each other's development or invest in each other and the relationship. One person spent his days watching the TV while the other played sports and cared for himself, until finally the relationship ended because it was demotivating. Instead of communicating normally, there were arguments, and you didn't invest time or effort in understanding each other, but instead in putting your best foot forward. After returning to such a relationship over time, you may find that this breakup wasn't a bad idea. Returning to such situations most often only prolongs the agony of that relationship, and you are already resuscitating the corpse just because you don't want to come to terms with the breakup. You don't want those emotions, but you won't run away from those emotions after a breakup. It would help if you didn't even run away from them or avoid them. There are better ways to deal with them than that. That was the first scenario, which is to go back. The second scenario is that you accept what your partner has decided. You don't go after your partner. You don't beg. You don't ask for another chance. This is the best you can do in this situation. Although it's hard for you to believe it when you're going through all this emotional turmoil, a few words of truth might help you to get through what you're going through now. Because somewhere inside, somewhere deep down, you probably feel that all this idealizing is not valid, and if you give yourself some time, you will be able to see the situation in a completely different light. By accepting this person's decision, not pushing to change that decision, and not immediately looking for a replacement and falling into another relationship, you will have the opportunity for the most significant growth. Please take advantage of this time. Take advantage of this opportunity, and the fact that your development will be easier, because of all those emotions you feel now, even though all you feel like doing is getting rid of them. You should take advantage of this opportunity for one most important reason. You, too, are responsible for the fact that your relationship ended, even though it was your partner who broke up with you. I know this is not something you want to hear, but take a moment to think about it. Maybe you were perpetually jealous. Maybe you were never satisfied with anything, perpetually unhappy. Maybe you hated your job and complained constantly. You may have overlooked the other person's efforts. Maybe you stuck to your partner so tightly that you wanted him to give you all his attention and time. Such behavior is overbearing. It's up to you to identify the problem on your side and work on it, because no next person or return to your former partner will be able to remove these problems for you. Although you may still be hoping for that. This breakup is something you need. It's your opportunity to work on yourself and make the most significant changes. Just this moment, because your world now looks like a city after an earthquake. You feel emotions that make your emotional life unstable. You are out of balance. Everything is in ruins, and that's a good thing, because you have a chance to rebuild your city and make significant necessary changes. You can now do something that you wouldn't do under stable circumstances and environment. You wouldn't do it because you would be afraid that something would collapse and you would lose your security. And change is a constant struggle, a tug of war between the need for security and growth. In between is your separation, which will help you take a step toward development if you want to. Right now, you want to regain security, and you will regain it temporarily when you return to your old relationship, but your city will stay as it was. Nothing will change. If you don't return to your old relationship, you can use this instability to make changes you wouldn't usually have the courage or motivation to create. And you wouldn't take the risk because you'd fear losing your security. But now you seem to have less to lose. People change their lives after such events as breakups, divorces, the death of a loved one, or the loss of a job. Suddenly, they find the motivation to lose weight, realize big goals, gain courage, and use these unlikely events and circumstances for their good. I don't see a better way to use such moments in life. These moments of the most incredible suffering and strongest emotions are significant growth opportunities precisely because of the instability they bring into our lives. Suddenly, our priorities can change. There will be more energy, an awakened look at what you are doing in your life, and a reflection on whether you want it to keep it going like this. What can keep you from using your breakup for your development? In my opinion, two things. The first is letting yourself get carried away with your emotions instead of using them as fuel for change, i.e., going back to your former partner because of the emotions flooding you. Or you are finding yourself a new partner very quickly for the same reason, your emotions. Alternatively, you can find yourself a new partner very quickly to prove something to your former partner, i.e., as revenge. And this is terribly weak behavior with which you further show your immaturity and pettiness rather than maturity. And this is probably different from what you mean. Your emotions fuel the instability that drives your willingness to change. Please don't run from those emotions. Don't try to avoid them. Live them. Use them. The second thing that will keep you from being able to exploit your breakup is pushing all the blame for the breakup onto your partner. Because he broke up with me. Because he was like that. Because it was his fault. The time after a breakup should be a time for you to focus only on yourself because you also had a part in the breakup of that relationship. You will learn much once you understand this and take responsibility for it, pushing all the blame onto the other person. Take a look at yourself. See what in you caused your partner to make such a decision, and not another. Instead of listing all his flaws and imperfections, focus on yourself and do something to change it. This will require work on yourself and a bit of self-reflection. Just by admitting to yourself that you weren't assertive enough in this relationship, or you were jealous of every little thing, or you exploded with anger for no reason, or you ignored your partner and what he said to you for weeks, or you let him control the situation by being disrespectful to yourself, or you were indecisive. These are the things you need to work on, your imperfections. These things should be the focus of your attention after a breakup so that you can or will become a better person and a better partner for your next partner. Believe it or not, eventually, there will be someone on the same level as you, ready to grow with you in a relationship, provided you work on yourself. It may take some time, and you, as a new person, and your former partner, who is also already a different person, will meet again on the road of life. This is also possible, and such situations happen, but it only happens if you work on your flaws while apart. If you are to find someone on your level, it is worth raising that level. In this way, the quality of your relationships will grow in proportion to the quality of your development. Become a person who represents the quality you care about. Blaming your former partner will not allow you to do so. It also doesn't mean this person is entirely blameless and did everything perfectly. That's not the point. The point is to focus on yourself and your development. Because, paradoxically, it is you, as the person with whom someone has parted ways, who has the most significant potential for change. You are simultaneously worse off and better off because the person who has parted with you will not experience such a strong surge of emotions. He will move on. He may change something, maybe not. Maybe he thinks it was your fault. And with that, she won't learn much from the situation. Don't waste your emotions and instability. Use them to become a better person and change something that has been waiting to change with you for a long time. It will be worth it. I invite you to the next section. If you liked the material, leave a like and send it to a friend or someone close to you who may benefit from this knowledge. If you want to support our work and help us create more valuable videos, there is a link in the description.